Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Goranitai, 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 Jaya Goranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Vishnupada Paramahansa, Parivrajacharya, Astotra Divine Grace, is Companacharya, Sela Abhacharya Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Jaya Vishnupada Paramahansa, Parivrajacharya, Astotra Systema Divine Grace, Sela Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavina Ki Jai. Namacharya Sri Haridasa Kaur Ki Jai. Prem Si Kahao Si Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Si Advaita Gadadhara Si Vasari Si Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Si Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Si Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Si Mayapura Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Si Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Yamunamaya Ke Jai, Samati Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ke Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Bena Ke Jai, Nitya Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the Sama devotees, all glories to the Sama devotees, all glories to the Sama devotees, all glories to Sri Gaur and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyatsa Tato Jaya Mudiraya Nasta Prayesu Abhadrisu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Vasudeva. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1, Text 29. So we just go to the word-for-word translation. Please repeat after me. Evam does. Upasama ayaneshu. All well qualified. Swatanayeshu. His own sons. Ata. Thereafter. Jagati Pati. The master of the universe. Jagatim. The universe. Abudani. Abudani are Buddhas. One Buddha equals 1 million, or one Buddhas is equal 1 million. I mean, 100 million. 100 million. Is that 100 million there? Yeah. Yeah. Ekadasa. 11. Parivatsaranam. Of his. Avyahata. Without being interrupted. Akila. Universal. Purusakara. Prowess. Sara. Strength. Sambrita. Endowed with. Dodan Daha. Of powerful arms. Jugala. By the pair. Abhidita. Being drawn. Morvi Guna. Of the bowstring. Stanita. By the loud sound. Viramita. Defeated. Dharma. Religious principles. Pratipakshaha. Those who are against. Barismatyaha. Of his wife Barismati. Cha. And Anudinam. Daily. Edamana. Increasing. Pramuda. Pleasing intercourse. Prasarana. Amiability. Yosinya. Feminine behavior. Brida. By shyness. Pramusita. Held back. Hasa. Laughing. Avaloka. Glancing. Ruchira. Pleasing. Sweli Adibi. By exchanges of loving propensities.
because this one we already have.
39?
Yeah, just notice now. And because I did this verse last week.
But what you sent to me was 28, 29, and 30.
39 and 40.
I'm sorry.
I have to prove it.
This is why digital system is very... It's okay. Thank you for drawing our attention to that. So why did you not mention this yesterday?
Well, yesterday I was on the altar. I came really late.
Oh,
so I
okay.
didn't notice. So we have two verses to come to.
38 and 39? Is that correct? And the same long stuff, so... So I just read the translation, okay. Text, I'm sorry about that. Canto 5, chapter 1, text 38. Translation. By the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Maharaj Priyavrata reawakened to his senses. He divided all his earthly possessions among his obedient sons. He gave up everything, including his wife, with whom he had enjoyed so much sense gratification, and his great and opulent kingdom. And he completely renounced all attachment. His heart, having been cleansed, became a place of pastimes for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, he was able to return to the path of Krishna consciousness, spiritual life, and resume the position he had attained by the grace of the great sage, a great saint Narada. Please kindly respond and repeat. By the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
By the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
Maharaj Priyavrata
Maharaj Priyavrata
reawakened to his senses.
reawakened to his senses.
He divided all his earthly possessions
He divided all his earthly possessions
among his obedient sons.
among his obedient sons.
He gave up everything,
He gave up everything,
including his wife,
including his wife,
with whom he had enjoyed so much sense gratification,
whom he had enjoyed so much sense gratification,
and his great and opulent kingdom,
his great and opulent kingdom.
and completely renounced all attachment.
He completely renounced all attachment.
His heart, having been cleansed,
His heart having been cleansed,
became a place of pastimes for the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
became a place of pastime for the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thus, he was able to return to the path of Krishna consciousness,
Thus he was able to return to the path of Krishna consciousness,
spiritual life,
spiritual life,
and resume the position he had attained
and resume the position he had attained
by the grace of the great Saint Narada.
by the grace of the great Saint Narada.
Purport. As enunciated by Sri Chaitanya Prabhu in his Shastaka, Chetudapana Marjana Bhava Mahadavagni Nivapanam. As soon as one's heart is cleansed, the blazing fire of material existence is immediately extinguished. Our hearts are meant for the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that one should be fully Krishna conscious, thinking of Krishna as he himself advises, Manmana Bhavama Bhakta, Ma Bhakto, Mamyazi Mam Namasku. This should be our only business. One whose heart is not clean cannot think of the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Lord. But if one can once again place the Supreme Personality of God in his heart, he very easily becomes qualified to renounce material attachment. Mayavadi philosophers, yogis, and jnanis try to give up this material world simply by saying, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. This world is false. There is no use of it. Let us take to Brahma. Such theoretical knowledge will not help us. If we believe that Brahman is the real truth, we have to place within our hearts the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, as Maharaj Ambarish did. So why Mana Krishna Padara Vindayo. One has to fix the lotus feet of the Lord within his heart. Then he gets the strength to be freed from material entanglement. Maharaj Priyavrata was able to give up his opulent kingdom, and he also gave up the association of his beautiful wife as if she were a dead body. However beautiful one's wife and however attractive her bodily features, one is no longer interested in her when her body is dead. We praise a beautiful woman for her body, but that same body, when bereft of a spirit soul, is no longer interesting to any lusty man. Maharaj Priyavrata was so strong by the grace of the Lord that even though his beautiful wife was alive, he could give up her association exactly like one who is forced to give up the association of a dread wife. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavita Va Jagadi Shakamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Shware Bhavatad Bhakti Ahavituki Tvai. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service bed after bed. For one who desires to advance in spiritual life, attachment to material opulence and attachment to a beautiful wife are two great impediments. Such attachments are condemned even more than suicide. Therefore, anyone desiring to cross beyond material nations must, by the grace of Krishna, be freed from attachment to women and money. When Maharaj Priyavrata became completely free from these attachments, he could again peacefully follow the principles instructed by the great sage Narada. So you suggest we go to the next one too, right?
No, it's up to you.
No, we can do it if that's. It's a short one. We can do that. It's a short one. Tashahava ite sloka priyavrata kritam kama kunu kuryat vineshwaram yonemi nime akarot chayapnam sapta varidin. Translation. There are many famous verses regarding Maharaj Priyavrata's activities. Quote, no one but the Supreme Personality of Godhead could do what Maharaj Priyavrata has done. Maharaj Priyavrata dissipated the darkness of night, and with the rims of his great chariot, he excavated 7 oceans. Purport. There are many excellent verses famous all over the world concerning the activities of Maharaj Priyavrata. He is so celebrated that his activities are compared to those of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes a sincere servant and devotee of the Lord is also called Bhagavan. Sri Nada is called Bhagavan, and Lord Shiva and Vyasadeva are also sometimes called Bhagavan. This designation, Bhagavan, is sometimes conferred upon a pure devotee by the grace of the Lord, so that he will be very highly esteemed. Maharaj Priyavrata was such a devotee. Maharaj Priyavrata was just a devotee. Okay. Omagyanatimanasya Ginajana Salakaya Sakshura Malita Jena Tasma Si Gurve Namaha Sujete Mano Vistam Tapetam Jinabhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Swan Padatika Vandasi Krishna Chaitanya Janan Svodata Udodai Praspavan Tamon Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Vanchakalpataribhyacha Kripasandhyacha Paritanam Pavanam Vaishnavi Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vasudeva Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurava Charu Nirvisa Swami. So, Priyavrata, he shows an exalted devotee, and during the conversation between Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, Maharaj Parikshit was a little bit bewildered because he couldn't really figure out. He wondered, how is that? A devotee wanted to send gratification? And then again, he came back. So that's not something amazing based on our lived experiences. We've seen that a lot. You know, people sometimes come to Krishna consciousness and then they stay for a while and then they serve, even get very highly elevated positions. And then later, they bloop. So, Sukadeva explained to Maharaj Parikshit that, yeah, that may happen, but you see, try to understand that devotional life, devotional service is, is transcendental. Because it's all about devotional service is not different from the Supreme Lord. And therefore, if someone is connected with the Lord and the person falters, it doesn't mean that the process is not correct or it doesn't work. It shows that the process works. And there are several reasons why people get into trouble. One of the reasons is inattention. A little inattention can cause devastation in our devotional life. It's like you're driving a car. I remember one time, I was still in Africa at the time when this incident happened. We are traveling to some neighboring countries. And then, when we are in one of these countries, we're driving, and someone called out from outside. He just called out, Haribo! So the driver was shocked that this place, people know about it, Hare Krishnas. So he turned. He turned his face to see this person. As soon as he turned, before he could turn back, boom! Just a little inattention. So the things, they work like that. And therefore, even in our chanting of the holy names, which is the Yuga Dharma for this age, it's mentioned that, and Padma Purana is mentioned that it is also an offense to be inattentive. But it's beyond that literal statement. It takes a lot of it takes a lot of tool when we are not attentive to what we do. Because we are not I can imagine, but I see Mother Yasoda got into trouble with Krishna because of inattention. She dropped Krishna to go and attend to some boiling milk. Krishna felt very, very infuriated. We want attention now. People want attention. You think the Lord doesn't want attention? So when Mother Yasoda dropped Krishna to go attend to our kitchen chores, that was the beginning of the trouble. So, in a similar way, when we consider other things to be more important than the worship of the Lord, and we give preferences to those other things, we are inadvertently paving towards a devotional Waterloo. Because this is how the whole story began. In fact, we have histories of, even in our own society, people who have attained very high elevated positions. At some point, people tend to think, you know, I have so many services to do, I have so many things to do. I'm not able to chant, chant Hare Krishna. This is a symptom. The person is walking towards a devotional Waterloo. And it happens because I've seen this a lot in a movement. As I have stayed in the movement for 40 years, and I've seen in the early days some of these brahmacharis, they work so hard, especially during festivals. And sometimes the president don't even ask them, hey, did you change your rounds yesterday? Sometimes we are just after the services. We don't really care whether the person we are engaging is keeping up with their sadhana. Because without the sadhana, we may walk dexterously. We are not workaholics. We are Krishnaholics. And therefore, if we neglect the point that we have to be dedicated to Krishna's holy name, that every other service we are doing is to facilitate attentive attention in chanting the holy name, then again we are paving towards a Waterloo. What is making these great devotees great is the constant association with Krishna, Krishna's holy names. Krishna demand, Manmana Bhavama. Always think of me. So, it's important for us to understand in our own little ways that Priyavrata, he was such an exalted devotee. But what makes him to be such an exalted devotee? Because he was thinking of Krishna always. Although one may say, but he was married. I mean, I always make this argument that you see, sometimes a number of us don't seem to understand the gravity of these Sastric injunctions. And therefore, we tend to think that someone who is married, they are doomed. That's not true. If someone is a real grihastha, he or she is homeward bound back to Godhead at the end of this lifetime. The problem is how to become a real grihastha. That is the challenge. We don't talk about it in our classes. Because it's not important. We give strict lectures to brahmacharis. Yeah. So Priyavrata, he was a grihastha. But then he went from one stage to the other, one stage to the other. For some people, they can't give up sense gratification for the rest of their life. So it requires a lot of strong sadhana for one to become detached from the impulse of the sensory modalities and the mind. It's very difficult. But by the mercy of the Lord, it's a matter of, see, we can take this gross example. Sometimes some courses are so difficult in a university. And therefore the professor decides, okay, if you attend the class, I give you a bonus of 10 marks. Just by attending the class, okay? a professor is so compassionate that he thinks that I will help my students. I will help my students to pass this course. So he gives a bonus by just making yourself present in the class. You get 10 marks bonus. So if an ordinary mortal working to earn money is compassionate to the subjects, what about the Supreme Lord that we have to serve without earning any financial gains? So the Lord is also merciful. In other words, we perform the devotional service. We may not be perfect because we are not really after perfection. We want to get the mercy of the Lord by simply following the instructions of the Guru, the instructions of the Shastra, instructions of Lord Krishna. And Krishna arranges to add some additional marks so that we become eligible candidates to be able to go back home, back to God. Back to the point. Priyavata was a grihastha. But look at even Lord Chaitanya's associates. Any of them was a Swami? Any of Lord Chaitanya's associates was a Swami? Yes?
Very few.
Eh?
Very few.
Which of them was a Swami? Lord Chaitanya's associates. The Panchatattva, how many of them are Swamis? So, it just shows the power of devotional service. And therefore, Krishna has no discrimination against Varna and Ashram. In fact, Lord Chaitanya said it does not belong to any of the Varnas and Ashrams. And so it is important for us to understand how the potency of devotional service, it can transform anybody. I've seen, if you read it, Planting the Seed, Volume 1, you see all these derelicts, potheads, that Prabhupada transformed to be sadhus, to become sadhus. Sometimes Prabhupada will come into that storefront to give a class, and you will see people, some derelicts, they're dead drunk, and then they sleep across the hallway. He has to meander like this, and then pass to go through his asana to sit down. If we look at what Prabhupada even passed through with all of these early devotees who came to him, they were not. It's not that every one of them was a saint when they came to meet Prabhupada. Most of them were not. Therefore, talking about the power of devotional service, the power of the holy name. And Prabhupada did not even tell them about rules and regulations. Hey, no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling. No, he didn't tell them anything. He just engaged them in the chanting of the Krishna, of the holy names. And they were transformed. And so we have good examples that we can really rely on to become very serious in our devotional our practice. And it doesn't matter whether someone is married or someone is a griya or someone is brahmachari or sannyasi. What is important to Krishna is the heart of that individual. Oh yeah. What is important to Krishna is the heart of that individual. So we keep talking about giving this story about the Brahmin, you know, when Nada was going to the spirit, to Vaikuntha, and you know, a cobbler and a Brahmin made the same request. Brahmin is supposed to be a very elevated person. The cobbler, is just, you know, useless person. But the cobbler had more faith in Krishna than the Brahmin. Because when Nara came back and then he asked, so did you deliver my message to Vishnu? He said, yes, I did. And he said, you are coming back home at the end of this lifetime. The Brahmin, he also asked. And the Brahmana said, oh, the Lord said, we have some other lifetimes to deal with. We tell these stories all the time, but you know, sometimes we don't really bring it home. It just shows how someone may be, you know, a GBC and someone is not. Being a GBC doesn't make you eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. Oh yeah. So we have to understand that devotional life is very personal and is also collective. We should not look at somebody who is not serious and say, well, he doesn't come to Mangarati. I will also not come. He is boga all the time. I see him eating biscuits. I will also be buying bread and be eating, you know. We should emulate. We should not imitate. Emulation means we look at the good things that someone has done and how they excel based on that, and we tow along their pathways. Yeah. So Priyavata is just a good example of somebody, a king. See, the wife is being described here as such a charming entity. But he had that power to be able to renounce at the appropriate time. And it's not just men, women also can be very much attached to the man and not give it up. I remember one of my friends told me, in America, he told his wife that, Mafiji, you know, our daughter is of age, and I'm thinking that I will have to take to Vanaprastha. And guess what she said? She said, listen. She said, listen, see, I'm a devotee, you're a devotee, there's no need for Vanaprastha. Don't even think about it. I'm not going to sign a document for you. Because these days, it's not like before. It's not like the old days where someone would just walk out from the family and say, I'm taking to Vanaprastha. No, it doesn't work like that anymore. Because some women and children, we are heavily abused based on this, you know, this ideology of simply renouncing home and, you know, allow the wife and the children or child to just suffer. It doesn't work like that again. This time around, there are new laws in ISKCON. This time around, the wife will sign a document that, yes, you built a house for me, you have this amount of money in the bank that will serve me for the rest of my life. Otherwise, she will not sign the paper for you to go, you know. So, Priyavata, he has a lot of money. So the wife will not say, no, you cannot go. But he renounced everything. He renounced everything. So it is important for us to understand that devotional service is very, very powerful. It can change. Devotional culture is a transformative culture. It has changed so many people. And it has changed us too. If you look back 5 years ago, what we are doing and thinking is no longer there. And that is an assessment of the reality that is a transformative change agent. Devotional life. People are talking about transformation. Here is a practical case. Jai Sisi Jagannath Baladev Subhana Ki Jai. Sisi Gaurana Taya Ki Jai. So, Important thing is that if even we are not at this time fully dedicated to the service of the Lord, we should think how we can always mold our lives in such ways that at some point in time we should be preparing for death. That means giving our heart, our body, mind, and words to Krishna. Because then, if that is done, then the purpose of life is achieved. The ultimate purpose is achieved. Otherwise, if one does not do that, then it's considered that one is a miser. One who does not use the human form of life to fulfill the objective criteria of self-realization or Krishna consciousness. This is miser. So we have so many misers out there. Do we want to be misers, or we want to become devotees of the Lord? So we should be thinking about it, because it's not a question of, hanging out in the movement for 50 years or 40 years or whatever. But where's the sense of detachment? Where's the sense of detachment? Are we giving up the way we tend to look at the world? Are we renouncing our old-fashioned ideas? Or are we still clinging on to them? See, attachments could be very subtle sometimes. It's not everyone who is running after the opposite sex that is lusty. Lust it entails a whole lot of discipline. You can be lusty for power, you can be lusty for money, you can be lusty for for anything. I remember we were discussing one Russian a professor, is a lady, she's a devotee. We're talking about how things, ISKCON is structured, and how we anticipate that there could be some better system of or improved governance. And she was very skeptical. This professor, she was very skeptical, because he has studied a number of our devotees, and she was mentioning how a number of our devotees, the second generation who are in power, they are very much controlling, and they're very hungry for power. That's what she said. I remember, I don't forget it. So these type of situations would not have allowed Priyavrata to renounce his kingdom and focus on Krishna. Some people, they may not even have a kingdom, but they are very much attached to power, attached to money, attached to control. I remember I was in one community in the US. So there was this lady who came to me. She was in charge of the brahmacharinis. And then she came to complain about, how the brahmacharinis were giving her so much trouble and all those things. Yeah, you're in position of power. People will give you trouble. Nobody likes people in power. If you're not in management, you can be a very good guy, Yeah. You think people like the kings? The kings, see, Maharaj Priyavrata, if you read about his history, he will provide food for everybody in his kingdom. Nobody will go sick without being taken care of. Everything was in perfect shape. Now these days we don't have this type of governance. People go into power, but then they are only looking for some things for themselves and their immediate families. But the kings, they were considered, what is the name? What's the title? What is the term? Raja Rishi, yeah. People there were not just leading people, they were providing the people with ideologies on how to become free from repeated birth and death. So that is the whole idea in Krishna consciousness. We're teaching people about how they can understand that no matter the opulence you have, you will leave it behind one day and you go empty-handed. Imagine you go empty-handed. So our basic foundation is that we prepare ourselves to become free from the attachments of this material world. Priyavrata had some challenges, but he rectified himself. We will have challenges. Are we prepared to rectify ourselves? I remember when I joined, I think the second year when I joined also, I was very close with some senior devotees. And then something happened to one senior devotee, and I was speaking to my senior devotee friend, and he said, Vasudeva, you should ask for your problems to come now, because you will have problems. Everybody will have problems. He didn't say, oh, don't worry, no, there's no problem in this devotional service. No, we will face challenges. The litmus test is that we pass the challenges. We pass through the challenges. If somebody wants to be promoted to the next class, to the next grade, the teacher or the professor will test them. So in a similar way, we will be tested. The test may come in any form. We may not know. And Maya looks at the areas that we are weak and tests us in those areas. Therefore, always reclining on the holy name is what can help to prove, to create a buffer zone between the jiva, the living, the conditioned soul, and the volatile nature of the problems. If someone does not go to the war front, or if someone is say in the U.S. Army, people join the army. If even it's part-time, if even you're a major or you're a captain, a lieutenant colonel, no, they look for deployments. Because deployment means, yes, you've been to the war front, okay? You're a real veteran. So we are at the war front. And then the challenges will come, but we have to be attentive so that we don't get hit by a stray bullet. Even those who are very attentive, they face challenges. And so spiritual, devotional life is a spiritual warfare. If we consider it to be a spiritual warfare, then we'll be very alert all the time. On the battlefield, people don't play ludos, although they don't play games on the battlefield. They are people are alert on the battlefield. They don't play games there. It's when they leave the battlefront, then they can play games. But we cannot leave the battlefront. And so, great kings attain perfection by taking shelter of Lord Krishna's lotus feet. And they transform those around them. They have all the opulences you can think of. We don't have nothing. So what is difficulty? If you have so much, then there is so much difficulty to give it up. So let's be servants of Srila Prabhupada. Let's work together to see how we're helping each other to grow in devotional life. Because collective efforts produces greater accomplishments and better quality in performance. Any comments or questions? Yes.
One is that in one question is relating to I think the translation or purport of text 38, and the other is about more of a personal experience, because you mentioned how we should gradually prepare ourselves for the time of death. And that got me thinking that when do we start this gradual preparation? Because especially when you're young, you're so distracted and involved with so many things. And I remember in his last instruction to me, my Guru Maharaj said, he quoted Prahlad, he gave the example of Prahlad Maharaj and Prabhupada, and he said, Kaumaram Acharit Pragya. That from a very young age, that's the best time to fully take up to Krishna consciousness and in a way prepare for death. So what would be the best time for us when we are young especially to prepare for death?
See, let me share a story. There was this Kumara boy, the only child of the parents. And so he was so sick, they took him to the best university hospital in the country. His mother was staying with him in the hospital. The only child. And then one day this boy woke up in the dead of night and he came to wake the mother and said, Mom, I have to leave. 5 years old. He said, Mom, I have to leave. You don't worry, okay? He went back to sleep. So, it's not that we will live up to 100 years and we don't know how. We are not Parikshit Maharaj that was lucky to be given time to prepare. 7 days. We are not so fortunate. Therefore, we have to imbibe an emergency consciousness in our devotional life. I remember several years ago, maybe about 30 years, 25 years ago, if I don't chant my rounds, I would not go out. Because at that time I had to wake up dead in the night. I had to wake up dead in the night to chant. My conception was, hey, if I go out, I may be run down by a stray bullet, you know. I may not come back to the temple, so let me just prepare that. I may not come back anyways. But, it gives me, that type of alertness. Yeah, we cannot guarantee anything. Even children, they die. So, if we have that emergency consciousness, it doesn't mean that we don't do anything. We just say, oh, well, I'm ready, I just sit down and chant and wait for death. No, it's not like that. We have to do everything. Yeah. Maharaj Parikshit sat down and was just, hearing Krishna Katha. But we have to do everything. So our situation is more complex than that of Parikshit. Is it correct? Yeah. Our situation is more complex than that of Parikshit. First, we don't know when we will die. We don't know our date. Maharaj Parikshit know his date. And we have to do everything. We don't just have to sit down and say, because we don't know when we have to die. So we can't tell the Tamil president, hey, Damodar, I'm just prepared for death, okay? Just get me prasadam every day. I will just chant and not do anything else. No, it's not like that. We have to do everything. So this is the challenge. Let's be practical. We have to face. See, the life of a devotee is very glorious, especially those who are practicing devotional culture. Their lives are very glorious because you have to do everything and at the same time be prepared for the worst. We don't pray for the worst, but be prepared for the worst scenario at any time. That's how it works. Like, we are soldiers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, okay? The soldier doesn't think that, okay, I'm going to live forever. The life of the soldiers, in fact, those who are not spiritually cultured, because I have one of my personal assistant in Washington, D.C., he serves in the U.S. Army. He's a professor, he has a PhD and two masters. He serves in the U.S. Army, he also has a major. So he tells me stories about what goes on in the military. And the people, although the law is that you should not drink, you should not take intoxication, but people take intoxication anyway. And so they live their lives in such a way that any day I'm going to die. I was aboard an aircraft, and so when I went to use the restroom of the crew, because people were already queued up in the other passengers' restroom. So then I was passing, and I saw one of these ladies. She was eating a lump of meat. So I just, sometimes I think I look for trouble sometimes. I just said, "Oh, lady, enjoy your life." So I just walked by. I walked by. And so, but then, when I left the restroom and then came back to my seat, that lady, she traced me to my seat. And they started to give me a lecture of how their lives, they're living, their lives are hanging on the balance that anytime they're going to die. So what they see is what they're going to enjoy, what they're going to eat and enjoy. Yes, she came to give me a whole lecture. So they know also that flying is like you are a soldier on the war front. The people who die in crashes, it's not that they were told, today you're going to crash. No. So they also have that preparedness. We should also imbibe that culture of preparedness. Yeah. It means that we have to be more alert than even Maharaj Parikshit. The worst thing, we don't know our dates. We're not lucky. We don't have that great fortune, that luxury of knowing our dates. We don't have. Yeah. So it's a complex situation, and that is the need for, an emotional support system in our society. A society that should foster psychological safety. A society that should foster emotional collective support. And sometimes, see, I was just, going through some stuff, and then I found this lady. She was mentioning something that was happening in their community, and she's a professor. Mentioned something that was happening in their community, and she said she was afraid that the officer, the person in charge of the region, she will get a retaliation if the person gets to know that she was voicing this out. So this is a society where we are talking about Krishna consciousness, and people don't have psychological safety. This is very, very unpalatable. This is not a guesswork. Someone just complained about that. And it's a reputable person I respected so much, has a real reputable position in material life and even in our society. But it's afraid that, so we have to create, in management science, we have what is called psychological safety. Leadership leading with psychological safety. Nobody is expert in all the fields of human endeavor. Nobody is expert in all the fields. I may have a PhD in management science. I'm not an endocrinologist. I'm not a cardiologist. I have a heart problem, I have to go see a cardiologist. So we live by interdependence. We're dependent on each other, and the services of each and every devotee is what helps to foster positive change in our communities. So we have to be, this is a family, we have to be caring for each other like a family, so that people don't have that type of they are afraid to contribute their ideas because they think somebody may not, somebody may not take it kindly. Yes, so our time is already 6 minutes past. Shall we close here? All right. Any other comments or questions? Otherwise, we have to adjourn this meeting. I pray for the adjournment of the meeting. Any supporter? Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Bhakti Vasudeva Maharaj ki jai.
Damara, what you can do, can you bring that type of thing you have on the next other devotion center? We'll put it somewhere in case. Okay, they have this here. We're supposed to put it where it is. This rope serves that purpose. It was not put, it was not there.
It was not the right. Yes.
We messed up. We are going back. Sorry. So, you happy? Tell me, go.
In book 38, it is said that Raj Priyavata returned to Krishna consciousness, but I thought he was always Krishna conscious.
He was, but then at some point in time, he has some problems.
But the Bhagavatam doesn't talk about it.
Well, maybe. But in the introduction of the chapter, Papa mentioned.
Maharaj train, they asked the devotees from Sambhashana to be careful.
Okay.
Because it's a German ticket, you know, kind of. Okay. I'm asking him to lift up me.
If it is not there also, I mean, I can let go with it there. Because every moment now is important to me. 23 to 25, I have three conference presentations on that same conference. 3 papers. So every moment now, I just have to jump in here and there.
Sure, we can arrange that.
Ruth will be here at 5.
Huh?
She will come at 5.
Okay.
But would you like me to also be there, or should we just?
I don't know. I mean, it's up to you.
If you would prefer that I'm there, otherwise I think.
I prefer that you are there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Today I will have to excuse myself by 6 because I must be also there.
Okay. Daniela, you're not working today? You're not working today?
Working.
You're not going to work today?
Today maybe I work, yes, before.
No, work.
I work?
I
Okay. No, today I have free time,
Okay.
and later tomorrow I have to work 5 days.
5 days.
One day after the other, yes. But today I have free time, I go to my family. Care them. Yes. You know what my question was? Preparing for that, you know. This is one thing for myself. I do it in an other way. I meditate, I try to chant, I read.
How many rounds did you chant yesterday?
16.
Good, very good. Sustain that. You keep that up, okay?
Yes. And when I care people that have to die, you know,
I know.
in the hospital
I know.
or in the family, you know.
I know.
It's different.
I know.
There are three minimum,
Listen.
different dimensions.
Listen.
How I care myself,
Listen.
how I care the client, how I care the family members.
Listen.
Because I have to care all. You know?
Yeah. Listen, you have a heavy duty load. I know nurses, okay? I know your job. One of my disciples,
I like it when you know.
one of my disciples in America, she's also a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
I know your job.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have time even for yourself. Therefore, you're dealing with all of these delicate situations. You need to be strong spiritually.
Yeah.
That's why the chanting.
It's the most important
But
thing.
there are parts now.
But it needs a lot of discipline. And mind have to be stronger than body, you know.
Sure.
And I hear on my body signs. So I have to change. I have to be stronger with my mind and with my body, and maybe then I am able.
Sure. Practice gradually, you get used to it. You need, like, now I'm on your neck. I'll send you a message and ask you, hey, Daniela, how many rounds did you chant last
Yes,
week?
please do it. I'm waiting on your message. Really. And I promise you I will be serious.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, if you are ready, for me, even Sri Lanka. When I read, when I can read it, then I understand. Not almost few words now. Okay.
Today Subhadra Maharani has a pet cow. Look, a pet cow next to her.
Yes.
She's a cowherd girl too.
Yeah. His cow came out of the skirt.
Mega nice outfit.
Yeah.
Ein schönes Outfit, mega schön. Die schaut so lebendig.
You know, it's so funny. Actually, before I dressed, I had something less in mind. But then I thought it would be enough to wear it. Then I thought, okay, then after the flowers, but I always wanted to use the flowers of the fashion to remind me of the woman. And then I always wanted to have some money. Now I have in mind, but for the use this. So I said, wow, I use women to back up. And then I thought, oh, now I got the match, so I said, because it's orange flowers. And then I changed to this one. And then when I was changing the backdrop, I took the other one backdrop down, which is with hearts. And I kept the other backdrops. And then I did check the name again. And I wrote out the backdrop to it. And this is the flowers. And it said Varsha. Yeah. I had the idea first for the cows, you know. Because there's a cow, Mother Mohan backdrop. Yeah. This Mother Mohan backdrop is also very nice. And it's with cows. And that's what I wanted to do. I took it then, you know. And then this happened.
You are not the control.
Yeah. And it's like,
You dress? What?
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they dressed themselves. And they allowed me to just be the instrument too. But you know, Satyananda Maharaj always said that Sankalpa is so important, like even before. And I'm also trying to deepen a little bit my Pujari lifestyle. More prayers and more reading of deities, even how you do service, etc. And also in the mind when you realize all these options.
Haribol.
And I always try to remember how the Buddha told me two things. There were 3 necklace chain techniques. And we got feather furniture, mostly.
In Vrindavan they are always, or often at least.
Rajasthan?
Yes. Yeah. Even Lord
only not so often. You can have it, but not so often because it was only Mayapur that Prabhupada said that Lord Chaitanya should always have it. But for other places, it's not like you always